if there is anything that as we move on and you want to pay more attention to, just kind of give me a little wave and we can make it more of a shoulder routine. We can make it more of a hip routine. Though both shoulders and hips are connected to the ribs. So that I think is going to kind of be the ultimate theme of our movement, is understanding the connection of the ribs, shoulders, as well as our spine. And we'll move slowly and fluidly. So I want you to kind of envision that you're underwater when we're moving, or that you're moving with the tide. And we're also going to just put in a little bit of imagery with how we're moving, because I think that gives us a really good way to understand how the rib cage moves when we're in downward facing dog, for example, or how do we achieve a better child's pose with movement, without discomfort. Cool. So we're going to start. And this is a really great book. If anybody's interested in it, I'm happy to share. It's by this dance performer who's also a structural integrator, I think. And he attaches imagery to movement. So when he talks about like external rotation, he really puts into picture what the external rotation of the femur looks like inside the hip, and then how the pelvis needs to move when there is external rotation. But he does the same with breathing and breath. And there's some really nice pictures in here to help truly kind of like understand what we're working with and what we'll be working through as we're moving. And so I hope that this class can bring us some slow, intentional movement that can help us to like shake off the day and to really reset our nervous system. And so, yeah, great. So let's start. And we're actually going to start by sitting. And just find your seat. And what I mean by finding your seat is finding where your hip bones are and how it's holding you up. So we can soften the shoulders. We can let the head lift and lengthen. And just take note how you're breathing. See if you can follow the breath all the way into the belly, up through the ribs, and out. Allow the head to balloon away. And let yourself sink into the hips, the hip joint. See what it feels like if you take a big breath in and a long breath out. Try that once more. Nice long breath in. And long breath out. See if you can tune into the soft music behind you. And see if you can find that breath within. Now, I'd like for you to place your hands on top of one another. So they're kind of doming, and we're going to get the picture of what it looks like to breathe in and out. So as you breathe in, you're going to push your hands down. And then as you breathe out, you're going to dome your hands up to the rib cage. So as I breathe in, my hands go down. And then as I breathe out, pushing back up. So our diaphragm, keep this going if you can. Our diaphragm very much kind of looks and acts like a jellyfish. It lives inside of the rib cage and attaches to the spine. And even just this simple movement, you have now changed and controlled your breath. Our breath is both involuntary and voluntary. Thank goodness, because I don't want to have to sleep and think, am I breathing in? Am I breathing out? And a few more times, maybe in your mind's eye now, see how that's kind of moving in the body. As you breathe in, you flatten that dome. As you breathe out, the dome pushes the air out of the lungs. This is also a nice way to kind of energetically tune into the body. You could even turn the palms up and that would do more of an energetic work. But I like the idea of doming the hands and then letting them flatten and then connecting that with my breath. Breathing out, it domes. Breathing in, it flattens. Take some time to practice. Breathing out, it domes. Breathing in, it flattens. And then just bring your hands to your knees and take a minute and just find your breath again. Very interesting how the mind has now also helped our breathing. And then you're going to take your left hand and put it onto your right ribs. So you guys are opposite of me. And then you're going to lean over to the left and then come back. We'll get both sides. So that's why I like to say at the beginning, we will always do both sides. And sometimes you're different than your partner. You're most likely different than me. But what we're doing is just trying to see what it feels like when we expand the rib cage and noticing the hand on the side of the ribs. You can breathe out to the side and then come back. And just kind of notice what moves, what doesn't move. Can you even connect that long, slow movement from the base of the hip up to the shoulder? Yeah, great. And then bring that hand down. And check in. I like to really always check and reassess to see how I'm feeling, to see if there's expansion, if we've brought some proprioception, which means the body's awareness, to this area. Maybe it feels a little lighter. And then we'll do the other side, taking the right hand and reaching up, or the opposite side that you did before. And you're going to reach the hand up towards the ceiling and then lean over and then come back. And then reach up and over. Yeah, so just for people online, you're just mirroring me. You got it, Elaine. And then just noticing this side to the other side. Like maybe it's hard for you to get your hand across the body. That's okay. And maybe it's harder, you're feeling more of a stretch through the back of the body. That's okay as well. And then reach really long and slow, and then come back to the center. And then just kind of notice how you're feeling now. And then we're going to place our hands on the center of our chest. And we're going to connect our hands to the tissue. And then we're going to pull that tissue down. And as I pull it down, my left ear is just going to float up towards the ceiling. And when I feel a little stretch, I'm going to take a big breath in, fill up that neck, and then bring it back to the center. You can switch the hands on top and change the grip, but connect to the chest. And then you'll pull that tissue down and let the left ear float up. Sorry, let the right ear float up. Breathe into that side. Come back and let it go. Bring your hands to the center and just take a minute and notice what has changed. And then we're going to take our right hand, reach it up and over, swim it behind you. And then the left hand can come on the right knee. Lift your chin and chest tall. Shoulders bring down. Bring down. Sometimes my brain doesn't work after 5, so we'll see how this class goes. Let the head just float up towards the ceiling. Take a big breath in here and long breath out. Soften things. Soften the chin. Soften the grip on the knee. Yeah, I caught you. And then come back to the center, unwinding, twisting. Breathe in here and breathe out. And then we'll take that left hand, we'll swim it up and behind you, finding a little twist over to the left. Soften the shoulders, let the head lengthen. Soften your seat. Are you gripping your glutes? And just see if you can let things just kind of melt to where they like to be instead of where they're forced to be most of the day. And then come back to center. If you're sitting on a bolster, come off. Oh, there's me. Okay. I'll come off. And we're going to make a nice big circle around our hips. Go as long and as slow as the song. Find rhythm in the notes and rhythm in your movement. And then see what happens if you change the circle. So maybe you throw your shoulder in first and then you pull the other shoulder away. You can push and pull at the knees and see what it feels like to go from one hip to the other. Because if our spine is connected to our ribs and our rib is connected to my diaphragm, that also means that my spine is involved with my breathing. Coming back up to center on your last one and just kind of find that center. And we'll go the other way, breathing in as you come forward, exhaling as you go back. Even different types of breathing. So like when you're blowing out like a candle, that's going to change your breath. If you blow out and say, we're going to practice that soon. And then come back to the center. Lift that chest tall, and we're just going to fold forward as far as you can. Flexing your toes, flexing your feet will help to protect your knees. Maybe walking your hands and shifting side to side in your hips. I like to find movement before I find stillness. And then that way, as I'm in stillness, I can let things just melt away. This is quite a hip opener. Breathe into that back of the body. Because, fun fact, 60% of our lungs is in our back. And push yourself back up to a seated position, sitting up tall, and then bring your hands behind you and uncrook the legs, and we will windshield wiper them side to side. And just noticing what it feels like to move on to the right hip Do the left hip, pushing into one shoulder and another. And then we can add a nice slow movement with this where we drop our knees and bring our arm with us. So whichever way you're going, you're gonna just try to add in some arms, add in some reach, go at a pace that feels good for you. You can come and like whip this arm around if you're really into that tonight, or you can just let it go and pull you to one side and see what happens if you hold it for a minute or two and just kind of see what your body likes and what your body needs today. And that may change tomorrow, may change in a couple hours. Good. And on this last one, wherever you land, you're going to let the legs fall down. You're going to reach the arm forward and then fall over the knee. And then you're going to try to push your hips back to the ground. So you're connecting as best as you can and breathe in here. Soften the chin. Breathe into that back. You can play around with this if you want to go a little bit lower and come onto the elbows. Or if you're really liking the connection of where the hip flies. Wherever you are, see if you can breathe into the back. I'm going to make you think even more in this folded up pretzel position. Can you breathe how we just were when we started? As you breathe in, you can imagine the diaphragm flattening. As you breathe out, it's doming up, rounding, pushing the air out, creating more space. If that's too much to think about, just breathe. And then we'll push yourselves back up to the center. Bring your legs back and forth, windshield wiper them side to side, and then we'll get the other side. So just kind of find this neutral a little bit. And then when you feel good and ready, you can let that arm drop all the way, reach to where you can't anymore, and then bow over that knee and that thigh. So your thigh is really kind of like supporting your rib cage here, if you can get that low. If not, that's okay too. And breathe in and out. Can you breathe into that back? Can you breathe into the sides? And let everything just melt. Melt your arms into the ground, melt the hips, melt your chest into the thigh. And then we'll push back up to the center, go slowly, and then coming back, windshield wiper those knees side to side. And then when you're ready, you're gonna come into a tabletop position. Lift up, look up, and then breathe in looking down. Inhale, lift up, look up. Exhale, breathe and looking down. Can you think here in segments? What are your hips doing? What are the front of your ribs doing? What's that collarbone even doing? And then, how is that spine moving? This is called extension. This is flexion of the spine. Keep going, breathing in and out. And so you may stay here, or if you'd like a little bit more movement, as you breathe out, push yourself back to your heels and kind of spring yourself back up to a tabletop position. Inhaling, lifting, looking up. Exhaling as you round, stay rounded and push yourself back. Move within your movement, your ability, what feels best for you. When we can add a little bit of a spring and a bounce, we are now working with the elastic tissue, which is what we need to kind of form shape. And so here you can even move very slowly back if you'd like more of a stretch through the shoulders, or if you like that spring, just kind of play around with what feels best for you and making sure you're breathing in and out, however you like. And then remember, you can always just stay in one segment. You don't have to move and travel. Just wherever you are, keep breathing for about 10 more seconds. This last one, bring your big toes together, knees apart. Find a little stretch through child's pose. You can keep your arms straight or rest your head down. And even here, see if you can breathe into the sides of the ribs. Breathe into the back. Soften the body. On your next inhale, you're gonna just walk your hands over to the right side. And same thing here, maybe move into this by pulling the hip back a little bit more or rotating through the spine. Find some movement before you find stillness. Breathe in and out here. Walk your hands through center and then over to the other side and just kind of notice how you move into this side as well. Soft and relax the fingers. And then bring your hands back to the center. Tuck your hands underneath your shoulders to make sure that your wrists are underneath your shoulders. We're gonna just lift the knees up off the ground and then we'll push ourselves into our downward facing dog. You may have to walk your hands forward. You may have to just kind of pedal out the feet. This might be your first downward dog of the day, so be gentle with it. Maybe pedal the feet out. Keep lifting up through the tailbone. And then really let the arm bones kind of hug towards the ears. Yeah, looks wonderful. Let's move through here a little bit. We're just gonna come up into your high plank, finding that high plank, shifting long, pull down from the armpits. So kind of locking under here. That will give you a really good connection. Push yourself forward or bring your knees to the ground. We're gonna lower down, bending at the elbows. And then coming down to the ground, keeping your wrists underneath your shoulders, squeeze your arms towards your body, then lift up the chin, and then come back down. We're gonna do this a couple more times. Take your shoulders and really lift them up, put them back down, slide them into your back pocket, then squeeze your elbows together. Then let's try to lift up. And come back down. And this last one, you can go up as high as you want. You can stay where we are. Wherever you are, try to see if you can reach from the chest bone. So I'm pulling my shoulders down in a way. I'm letting that chest bone, my sternum, lift forward. And if you want, yeah, you can come all the way up. And then push back. Find yourself back into downward facing dog. Pedal out those feet. And then you're going to step your right forward, followed by your left. And fold forward around those thighs. So really see if you can bend at the knees even, and maybe let the chest rest on the thighs. Push your feet into the ground, and then we'll roll ourselves back up. Coming up nice and slow. Arms lift up, reach up. And we're going to just bend, and we're going to let the arms fall down, kind of crossing our body, and then we'll pick them back up. And then they can come down, cross our body, and come back up. They can come in front of you, or they can come down, go the opposite way. They can go fast, we can go slow. We can reach long. What feels coordinated to you? Good, and then pausing at the top. Hands reach up. And then we're gonna do that in reverse. So now you're gonna reach up from the top, and as you drop down, you're gonna drop down, and then maybe your hands connect again. So now I'm swinging my arms, and maybe my middle fingers connect. Maybe my pinkies connect. Maybe the top connects. Maybe it's just really fun to shake out your arms like this. One more. Good, reach up. And then reach up tall, and like you're pulling down a rope from the ceiling, you're gonna reach one arm up high and then pull the other. Pushing one foot into the ground. So I'm pushing my right foot into the ground when I reach up towards the ceiling with my right hand. Yeah, I love it. Figure out what feels good to kind of separate that rib cage from the hips. And then take a moment in standing, stillness. And perhaps close your eyes. What does it feel like to close your eyes while you're standing? Can you get the same length from your head? Lift and pull from the shoulders. And maybe even while we're standing, we can dome our hands again. So we can bring our hands back to the belly, and we can dome as we breathe out. And as we breathe in, it will flatten. And just see, you can imagine this standing. You can imagine your hips softening. And then pausing, bring your hands down to the center. And just noticing how even that little bit of breathing and understanding what's happening inside the rib cage, how that made the rib cage feel. And then we're gonna reach up with our right hand, and as we reach up, we're gonna step into our right leg. We're gonna just reach and step, and then we'll eventually kind of get ourselves into a warrior two. So in this warrior two, you're gonna just try to bend at the knee. Yeah, I've tricked everybody. Try to make it like all flowy. We'll get there. And we're gonna bend at the right knee. The left leg is long, beautiful. And then you're gonna just kind of shift in and out of that front knee. What does it feel like to shift forward as the hips stay in neutral, as my spine stays long, and then find some stillness. Find that long, strong warrior that you've been working on. Let the knee push out so that it's really over the second toe. And we're getting this sense of rotation from the upper thighs. So externally rotate that upper thigh out. Externally rotate that other thigh that's in the back. Rotate that out as well. So we're getting this movement of rotation, and it's continuous even though I'm holding still. We're going to shift forward, bringing the forearm onto the thigh, and then reach the arm up and over the head. Connecting that back foot through the arm. Here we will flow. We'll lift up into a humble warrior, bending behind you, and then coming forward and then back. Maybe just two more. Inhale, lifting up, looking up. Exhale, coming down. Find the flow. Find the rhythm. Holding this last one. Beautiful. And then reaching your arm up. Turn your feet so that they're parallel. And then we'll fold forward from our hips. Softening the chin. Keep in mind that you're rotating that upper thigh bone out. You're connecting the pinky toe by lifting up through the arch. And that lifted arch, believe it or not, is helping you to rotate that upper bone out. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold down. Bring your hands to your thighs. Use your strong feet to help get you up. And then you'll turn and rotate the left foot. And we'll do our warrior to the other side. Perfect. And so same idea. We're going to shift into that leg and shift out. Can you be strong through those hips? Can you be in that neutral? Can you lengthen up through the head? And then we find some stillness wherever you are. Keep in mind that you're rotating out from the tops of the thighs. We're softening into that pelvis. We're not gripping. Yeah. Good. And then go ahead and float it down so that the left hand comes onto the left thigh. Breathe out. Breathe in, let the arm be long, and then we'll flip that warrior, keeping the bend in the front knee, and then flow with it. Find some movement, find some rhythm. See if you can even pull the rib cage to the front hip bones a little bit more. Can you be a little bit longer? Last one, finding that stillness. Bending at the front knee, and then resting your forearm onto the thigh. Woo. And then I'm going to bring my arms up towards the ceiling, turn my feet, hands can come onto my thighs. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down. Finding stillness, finding that breath. I like to move, and then I like to be still and slow things down. Walk your hands over to the left foot, turn that left foot out, the right foot will follow, and then we'll find ourselves into downward facing dog. I took this one class once where we did like 360 on the mat. It's kind of cool, you know, when you're like, oh yeah, I'm in a different position on the mat. And then bring yourself into your high plank, pulling up from the tailbone, shifting into your high plank and shifting into your forearms, breathing and holding here. And then maybe you bring your knees down or you keep them up, bending the elbows, shifting forward a little bit and finding your cobra. Big toes come together, knees come apart, and stretch. Find a nice little child's pose. Come up to your hands and knees, and you're just gonna inhale, lift up, look up, exhale, round, finding that cat-cow again. Maybe it feels a little bit easier this time, or maybe you're like, I'm backwards. It's okay too. Then on your next exhale, you'll lift your knees, lift your hips, finding that downward facing dog, pedal out the feet. Step your left foot forward, bring your right foot to follow, fold at the knees, bend at the hips. Maybe make a little figure 8 here, where you're tracing a figure 8 on the ground. Then you're gonna put your hands back on your shins. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold down, pushing your feet into the ground. Let your body hang on your knees, chest and thighs together. Pushing your feet into the ground, coming all the way up to standing. And then you guys can make a big turn and come back to the top of your mat. I don't know how that happened, but I kind of loved it. Let's breathe in. We'll lift our arms up. Breathe out, fall down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Walk your hands out, finding that downward facing dog. And then we're gonna shift into that high plank, go through your chaturanga, into your up dog, cobra. Good, push your hips back. And then we're gonna lower all the way down once more. Let's bend your knees, windshield wiper your knees side to side. Forehead can come onto your hands. And then straighten your legs. You're gonna bring your arms out to a Y position. Here, if you need a block, that might be nice under your forehead. And you're gonna reach your arms into like a Y. Tuck the chin. You're gonna squeeze your shoulder blades together, lift up towards the ceiling, and then back down. Squeeze the shoulder blades first, then lift the arms and come back down. We're here for 5, 4, squeezing in through that center back. 2, and 1. Hands can come and support the forehead. Shake out the hips. And then you're gonna lift up the left leg behind you and lower it down. As I lift that left leg, I'm really trying to push my hips into the ground. My leg is straight. My shoulders are still rolled down in the back. I'm just gonna keep lifting and lowering and see if you can feel the hamstrings click on, feel that glute click on. Let's do 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. Good. Let the hips kind of come back, settle. And notice if you felt like you were clenching your 2 glutes together. We just want to squeeze one at a time. And then also pay attention to what your hips are looking like. So if you were to take the floor away from you, this is kind of how we'd be standing. So can you kind of tuck that tailbone just a little bit? Can you, when you lift up the right leg, can you really feel the front of the right hip bone driving into the ground? And can you also maybe feel the pubic bone driving into the ground as well? Lots to think about just to lift up our leg. Let's do 3, 2, and 1. Good. Big toes come together, knees come apart. Find a little child's pose. Take a big breath in, long breath out. Allow yourself to melt. And we'll come up to a tabletop position, finding our downward facing dog. Maybe it feels a little easier now. Maybe not, that's okay too. Take your right leg, lift it up behind you as if I'm pulling your foot back behind you and up. Beautiful. And then you're going to take that leg, you're going to pull it in, pull it in, pull it in, round your back, round that back, and eventually the foot will find its way into the center. Nice job. You guys are better at that than I am, I think. From here, we're going to push that foot into the ground. Make sure you can feel the four corners of the foot. The arch is lifting, the knee is over the toe, and I'm going to push that foot into the ground to help me get up. From here, I'm going to play around with my hips. I want to see if I can pull my hips back. One hip can go back. What does that feel like if I kind of pull in and out of one hip? What does it feel like if I tuck and untuck my tailbone? Really, what I want you to see is where can you feel in the most center? Do you feel like you're pushing to one side or another? Once you find that center, you're going to go ahead, inhale, lift up, look up. And then exhale, flow. So as I flow, I'm lifting up. I bend forward from the hips, and I can try to lift up the toe. Yeah, if you need blocks here, bring them. It's not bad. It's just, that's okay. Move carefully. And then go ahead, and once you're done, we're going to reach up all the way. And then we're going to bend over to the bent knee. So I'm taking my left arm and bending it over to my right. You guys are too. Good. And then we're going to come back up. And then like you're shooting an arrow, you're going to bend at the elbow. You're going to use your eyes to look right at the elbow. I'm bending my right elbow. I'm going to look right at that right elbow. Follow it with your eyes. And then come back. Really see where it is, where it's going. Last one here. Yeah, I love it. Come down, lift up that back knee for me. Shake it out, and then we'll hop it forward. If that was a little angry on your knees, just give it a little rub. Rub behind. Hands come on your shins. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Find your downward facing dog. Keep lifting those hips up high. In this book I recently read, they talked about how they did a down dog workshop for 5 days. So all they did was work on their down dog for 5 whole days. Can you imagine? But there are ways to make it feel easier. And hopefully it feels a little bit easier now. You're going to lift up that left leg behind you as if I'm pulling it. Yeah, beautiful. I love it. So strong. Tuck that tailbone, round that back, pull that knee into your chest, and eventually it's going to float into the center. And then I'm going to drop my right knee down to the ground, lifting myself up. And then I'm going to find my center hip on this side. So I kind of maybe have to pull my front hip back. I have to lift up. That's how we come out of our knee and take pressure off the knee, is being able to find your hip neutral and your spinal neutral. Yeah, and then we'll flow with it. Push the hips forward and then push them back. Then you can almost imagine like you're splashing water on yourself and then dipping yourself back in. Finding the rhythm. Feel what feels comfortable. You can always just hold it. You don't have to add movement to it. Whatever your body is like, this is what I need to stretch a little bit more. Yeah, it's coordination, it's movement, it's breathing, and then finding some stillness. And then reaching over to that left side. My right arm reaches up towards the ceiling and then bends over to the right. Lovely. Come back to the center. Bring your hands up as if you're squeezing a big ball. And then you're going to shoot that arrow, bending at the left hand, following the elbow, and then come back to the center. We're rotating and twisting from the middle of the spine, keeping the head long. And my eyes really do help me in this position. If it's enough, if it's too much on your knees, you can pad your knees. We can also feel what our hips are doing, but that might be a next level next week. Last one. Good. Shift forward into that front knee, lift up the back knee, and then jump forward, fold forward, find a little rest. Beautiful. Hands come on your shins, inhale, half lift, exhale, fold. Push your feet into the ground, come all the way up. Reaching up. And then bringing your hands back to center. While we find our bearings, let's just try to bring a little bit more rotation. So I'm going to rotate from one side to another, tapping, letting the arms flow, seeing if I can look behind me. And then pausing, finding your feet, finding some stillness, letting the shoulders stack on top of the hips, head lifts up tall. One more goofy thing before we make it to the ground. We're gonna pat the side of our rib cage. So you're just gonna pat underneath your armpit. And as you pat, we're gonna invite a little bit of a stretch. So you're gonna fall over to one side and then making like a circle all the way up and around. This again is just kind of waking up the diaphragm. It's providing stretch and awareness. Good, and then come back down. And then we'll take our left hand and bring it to our rib cage. So right at the base here. And then we're gonna lift that left shoulder up towards the ceiling. Bring the elbow behind you. Turn the head to the right. Then you're just gonna keep letting that shoulder pull up towards the ear. Drop the head back just a bit. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. I know, but this is helping so we can bring our shoulders down and away from our ears. Keep continuously pulling that elbow back and lifting up that shoulder, and then let it drop down. Take a moment and just feel what it feels like through the side, maybe a little bit more space. And then we'll take the left hand, and you're just gonna let that left hand swing, and then let the left hand fall across the body. You're gonna take the left arm and twist it with the right. So my right hand is taking this bone and twisting it in towards my chin. Yeah. And then I can kind of push the elbow to my chin a little bit and then breathe in and breathe out. Yeah, breathe in one more time. And breathe out. And then we're gonna come out of this very gently. You're gonna grab underneath the armpit, pinching that pec muscle, reaching the arm up towards the ceiling, and then swim it behind you, pinky first, as far as it'll go. Great. And then just take a moment, standing, maybe closing your eyes, and just seeing what one side feels like to the other. Maybe breath can get in there a little bit easier. Maybe it feels a little bit better. So we'll take our left hand and pat your right ribs. Little bit of and bounce. Stretch and bounce. Or just stretch. If you're really feeling like, oh, I'm not bending my knees today, you can just reach over. There's a way to do this with like balls. But I left my basket of balls in my car, so we're doing this now. And then reach it up, and then back down. Just get a sense of what that feels like from your feet all the way up. And then you'll take your right hand as high as you can on your rib cage. Bring the elbow behind you and lift up the shoulder towards. Turn the head over to the right and then slightly look up. Yeah, so uncomfortable. But it's so important to help with that upper back pain in our neck and shoulders. This is the money ticket to feel better. Keep continuously pulling that elbow behind you, shoulder shrugs up. Breathe in deep. And then drop the arm down and bring the head back to center super slowly, kind of shake it out. Lovely. And then take that right arm and just let it swing, and eventually it will swing to the opposite side. My left hand is going to come to that arm bone, and then I'm going to turn that arm bone towards my face, push it towards my chin, soften your knees, lengthen the head, get a really good, oh my gosh, I love it. I love when everybody is in sync. And then can you keep letting that twist, like you're screwing it in. Breathe in deep. Breathe out slow. Grabbing up towards the ceiling and then swim it behind you, pinky first. How far can it go? And then drop it down. Ooh, that feels so nice. And we'll reach up towards the ceiling, fall forward from your hips. Hands come on your shins. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fall down. Walk yourself out to your downward facing dog. Maybe this feels even easier now. You can shift yourself forward into your chaturanga if you want, pulling up through the tailbone, pulling the shoulders down and back, bending at the elbows, shifting forward just a little bit, and then lifting up. Big toes together, knees apart, find a little rest. If you can, you're going to find your bolster on your next breath in, finding that bolster, bringing it in close to you. And we're going to stack up our knees, so you can keep your big toes together or knees apart here, or you can bring them a little bit closer, whatever feels most comfortable in your knee and your hips. And then you're going to fold over the bolster. You're going to let your chin drop. Let the body be supported by the bolster. And see if you can bring in the breath to the back of the body. All this nice work we've done of moving everything should be able to melt pretty easily now. On your next inhale, remove the bolster, come up to your tabletop position. Inhale, lift up, look up. Exhale, round, moving slowly, checking in. And then you'll swing your legs around, coming to a seated position. Just for a moment before we lower ourselves down, so you might want to scooch up. And in this moment, I want you to just take a minute to see how your seat feels. See if the head can float away from the shoulders. Lift the shoulders up towards your ears and then slide them into your back pockets. Yeah, Ooh, nice adjustment. And then you're going to bring your arms up like you're holding that big beach ball, turning from the elbows, and then we're going to lower down super, super slowly, pulling up from the front, lowering all the way down to the ground. And maybe windshield wipe, bring the knees side to side. And as I windshield my knees, my head is going to go the opposite direction. So if my knees go to the right, my head goes to the left. And then wherever I am, I'm going to fall and let the knees fall to the ground, let the head fall the opposite way. You can stay here or stack the knees on top of one another and then get a little bit more of a twist. Bringing the feet back to the ground, having the knees rotate over to the other side, head follows. You may stay here or stack the knees on top, making sure that you're using your eyes to see your fingers on the other side. Coming back through the center, give yourself a nice big hug and rock yourself side to side. Maybe making your knees into a circle around your hips and making sure you go both ways. And then we'll bring our legs down if you need anything to keep you warm or comfortable. Let yourself get what you need. If you need me to grab you anything, give me a little wave. And for this, I'd like to guide us through a little meditation to really feel connected to the ground and becoming really aware of our bodies. Take a nice big breath in and a long breath out. And then you can press the back of your right heel into the ground and just notice what turns on as you keep pressing, and then let it relax and fall open. We'll do that once more, pressing the right heel into the ground. Notice what turns on. Keep holding that press and then let it relax open. Then you're going to try to find the back of your right hip, whatever that means to you. You're going to try to push into the back of the right hip. Let it press and then let it relax. And now you're going to press into the back of the left shoulder and the left shoulder blade. Where is that on the ground right now? Let it press, and then let it all relax. And then with the right heel, press the right back of the heel into the ground. Notice what turns on as you press, and then let it all relax. Press into that right heel one more time, turning the back of the body on, and then let it all relax. Slowly melting. And then try to find the back of the right hip. What does that feel like to find the ground? What turns on to get that there? And then how do you turn it all off to let it rest? And finally, try to find the back of your right shoulder blade. Then let it rest. Then maybe find the left shoulder blade and then let that rest. Now take a nice big breath in and let everything feel heavy for Shavasana. The body has what it needs to heal. I am just a guide. Your body knows what it needs to feel better. When you're ready, you can bring some movement into your fingers and your toes. Perhaps turning onto the right side or whatever side you feel most comfortable laying on for a moment or two. And breathing in and out. Now, sending some gratitude to maybe your strong legs for moving you through your day, your shoulders for helping you get closer to the computer. Your arms for carrying your weight and carrying things of others, maybe. And when you're ready, using your arm to push you up, maybe keeping your eyes closed, and come and find your seated position. Find your seat. Let the shoulders soften and the head float away. On your next breath in, reach your arms up towards the ceiling, breathing in. Breathing out, arms come back to center, maybe bowing your head. Thank you so much for coming to class today. May you move well, may you be well, may you breathe well.